I'm getting some feedback on this side too.
Ed, but I'm using a hotspot because I'm not on not on Wi-Fi. So let me try going outside.
Okay. I'm getting some feedback on this side too. Oh, mute this. There we go. Muted.
Good.
Okay. Muted on YouTube. Good. Okay.
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you better. You sound clearer. How about me? Am I breaking up?
No, you sound excellent the whole time. I'm going off my phone because there's no Wi-Fi where I'm at.
Well, thank you for
So,
joining us with no Wi-Fi.
yeah.
Are you someplace good?
I'm at the Old Town airport hangar putting a fire truck together.
Oh, really? I haven't been to Old Town in so
Yeah.
long.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's a pretty good place to hide for a day, but it's one of the old eight-wheel drive Hemet, like a tank truck. It's a military truck they use for delivering water to forest fires.
Oh, nice. So
So
are you just
it's kind of
restoring it so you can like just drive around for fun?
no, this is belongs to the state of Maine for the Forest Service. Uh, I put radios and lights and sirens and this stuff for communications. So they're just trying to get the truck going. I just put the radios in. I'm trying to program them, and I want to
That sounds
catch the
fun.
meeting. So
That sounds fun. Yeah, my
yeah.
grandparents like they lived in Orno, so
No, no
like a lot
kidding.
of my
Yeah.
family comes from Orno, Old Town area. So,
Now, where are you from?
so I grew up in Winthrop,
Okay.
and my dad's parents are Levitts, so they were down in like Green Leeds area, and then they moved up to Orno. And then my
Yeah.
grandmother like very French, Vachon and Garneau, so
Nice.
they came down from Canada, but all of them, it was so funny. They all settled like Old Town Orno. So,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. My
like I
mother's
went
from.
back through and found like St. Joseph's Church up there and I found their marriage records. And I'm like,
Oh, that's cool.
it is cool. You start doing the history stuff. How about you? You from Old Town area or?
Well, ironically, my mother's from Bradley and my dad's from Old Town.
Oh, okay.
I generally grew up in Brewer. Moved to Herman for 30 years, and now I live in Newburgh. We got
Hmm.
willed my wife's place, my wife's parents' place,
Hmm.
and it's a beautiful place. 81 acres. It's just nice. This this picture, my backdrop, that's out on a meets a Sourdabs Cook stream, and we call that the boat launch. You can
What's
tour it
nice?
out onto the stream there. So pretty blessed.
I mean, I loved going up there to visit my grandparents, because we'd always go to UMO and stuff and do like the trails. And then they had a camp in Ellsworth, so we'd go to Ellsworth. You know what I mean, on
Yeah.
the lake there, and then we'd go into Bar Harbor. So hard to get into Bar Harbor though now. Like, and you just want
Yeah,
to go
it's
to Acadia and walk
commercialized.
around, but like, you better be
Yeah.
there at 7:30 in the morning. And from Ellsworth, that's just not going to happen in all the traffic now. So,
Yeah. No, boy, I pity anybody transporting to MDI anytime in the summer. It's motorhome alley. Uh,
well,
stuck
and just so
behind those
much
things.
traffic. It's like, and just to find parking over there. I mean, and I know they've changed it and they've done all the stuff. I'm like, I remember we could just swoop in and swoop out. I mean, I still know the back ways. I'm like, what a pain in the
In,
ass.
in, in
Like,
Brewer, it was so nice growing up. We That was a 45-minute run. We'd get down to Bar Harbor on a nice
yeah.
night and have a pizza at Rosalie's and then burn it home, and think nothing of it. But that don't happen
Was
anymore.
Did you ever stop at the Bar Harbor bar place where you could get the Bar Harbor bar? It was like the two cookies and they'd put the ice cream in the middle. It was like I was right before you crossed into Acadia National Park, or like over across to the island.
Thompson
Where
Island there.
is it Trenton? I can't, it's
It was
Trenton, right?
probably
Isn't it?
Trenton. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So we used to
Yeah.
stop
No,
there all
but I
the time
remember
when I was
that.
little.
Yeah,
And then
that's
the water
cool.
park with the water slide. Do you know what I mean? That was our summer.
On the right hand side going down. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
It's
mm.
funny when you go down in the winter, there's like this place is dead. There's nothing going on, but the summer is so different. But
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's too bad too, because my grandparents, they would go cross country skiing in Bar Harbor, like Acadia. You know what I mean? And they'd talk about all the stuff they would do. And I never made it up for winter ever, but I hear it's supposed to be
It's
really nice in the winter too, if you like it.
I
So,
got a picture. It's not this one, obviously, but in 1990, I bought my first sled of my
mhm.
own. I mean, had them before, but brand new one. And I actually got a picture of it in front of the changing house in
Oh yeah,
1990, right on the beach. It's pretty neat picture. I don't think they allow you to get down there now. They probably got it roped off in the off season. But Joe Higgins, the other guy on the committee there, he
yeah,
all his years of being the snowmobile top dog, he finally this year got down and did the loop on his sled. So that was pretty cool to get that in. But it's a neat thing to see it off season.
yeah, yeah. I never made it. I wish I had, but
Yeah,
maybe this year we'll see
yeah.
something.
I'm putting socks on. Don't mind me. Don't
As
ask.
long as you keep your feet warm. It's a little chilly today.
Yeah,
It's not
well,
like warm.
it's not, I mean, no, but we did our hike. I mean, we always do our hike, so we were just, in rain gear and then drenched, but my feet are always cold. So good
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
morning.
Thing. So we have five. Peter said he'd be a little late. And I think so. Tanya and Vivian were tentative. Jeff had said he'd be here. So I think we'll give it a few more minutes and see. I mean, if not, we can just discuss. Oh, there's Jeff. And I think with Pete, we'll have seven. So, and that should be enough people because that's more than half. Seven. So we'll just wait for Pete because he said he'd be a little late to formally start the meeting. But does anybody want to? Sorry, Amanda, do you want to have them
No,
just talk about stuff, or I didn't.
no, you don't have to ever apologize. Seeing as how I was just putting socks on. Um, we can we can do whatever, but I was just thinking, um, well, so do we have, if we have, when we have Pete on, will we have somebody from each
We'll have.
subcommittee? Oh, good,
Oh, there's Peter.
perfect.
I think. Yeah, I think so. I think you guys are the only ones who have volunteered. I mean, well, Kathy did too, but she's out, and
Right.
Chris. But we have Roberta. So Roberta, I think, is on every committee. So Roberta can represent everybody.
Yay! Unmute yourself, girl.
I see your face, Roberta.
Sorry, I'm a little rushed and out of it this morning. Still dealing with a sick dog again.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What happened?
Well, he's almost finished round 3 of treatment for Giardia.
Okay.
He was starting to look like he was coming out of it, and things were looking good. And this morning, he's right back
Yeah.
down where he was again.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it took us a bunch of rounds to deal with that last season. Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay. Well, yeah, no, Heather, I mean, feel free to, I don't need to be in charge. I can assure you of that. So do we want to just kind of run through each subcommittee and get a sense of where things stand?
Well, since there's seven, how about this? How about we officially start the meeting, call the
Yep.
meeting to order, and I'll do roll call so that we have it officially in the books, and then we can do the agenda.
Perfect.
Does that sound? All right, so I'll do roll call. So Peter,
Yeah, I'm here.
Amanda Egan,
Good morning here.
Tanya is not in yet. Okay, and Matt is out. Chris is out. Roberta,
Here,
Amanda Meter,
Yep.
Vivian's out. John
I'm here.
and Kathy is out. Jeff
Here.
and Tom.
Here.
All right, so we have seven, so we have a quorum.
Great.
So we can just go through the agenda if you want, Amanda,
Yep.
and talk about, I don't have any new business at this point to talk about, so, or old business. And we could do the meeting minutes. Did you guys see the meeting minutes from, I'm sorry, I forgot the meeting minutes from February.
Motion to approve.
97.
Thanks. All right, so just do a quick, Peter,
Yep.
Amanda, Egan,
Yes.
and Tanya's out, Matt's out, Chris is out, Roberta,
Yes,
Amanda Meter,
Yes.
Vivian is out, John,
Yes.
Kathy is out, Jeff,
Yes.
and Tom.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, now we can start on the agenda.
If you want to just walk us through it, I think you're on a roll and I'm glad to have you do that.
Give me a second, I have to pull it up because I have like 16 documents, but never the right one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I think a more legitimate excuse than mine, which is I don't even know what my name is. Let's see. Who am I? Where am I? Okay. Roads Commission. Commissioners meeting minutes we've got. Agenda right here. Boom, I got us.
Okay.
I got socks on my feet. I got an agenda coming up on my screen. Bingo. Okay, call to order, roll call, adoption, updates and announcements, discussion of, so 5 is discussion of setting a monthly meeting date at the same day and time until December. So let's let me come back to your faces. Right, so we I think right now we're thinking about after this meeting and maybe 1 or 2 other subcommittee meetings that are already teed up, that maybe we hit pause for the June, July, August. I don't know what's been done in the past. I think it's been a mixed bag. I think Heather and I are feeling like people are having a hard time making meetings and it's bound to get worse during the summer. I'm not sure what other folks think or feel about that.
I'd like to have at least one more commission meeting before we break for the summer.
Okay, yeah, other folks?
Frustrating not to see things moving forward for that long.
Understood, yeah. Any other thoughts or feelings or kind of just on the fence or?
I think I tend to agree with Roberta that we should have
Yep.
one, but then have a break for the summer. Summertime's pretty busy for all.
Yeah, so you folks are thinking maybe try to meet in June-ish sometime or May-ish, or what are you thinking?
June would probably be good.
Okay. Yeah,
Over that.
I mean, I had us full speed ahead and I'm a pretty big fan of full speed ahead, but it's also frustrating if July and August in Maine, forget it, I think really is usually all bets are off. We're all just trying to have a really quick summer.
I
Those
much,
can be, there are only so many summers in a person's life, and
Yeah,
here in Maine, they're short, so it's a tough.
right. Yeah, there's other groups I'm in that they don't even try in July and August because everybody's taking time as well. They should be.
I'm with you on full speed ahead though, because
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
had 54 summers of dealing with the road.
Yes. I know.
No, you don't.
If at all possible, I know Matt and Chris get jammed up hard during hunting season for meetings.
Oh,
So if we
okay.
can go earlier on in October-ish, maybe, just before, because he's told me, he says, boy, that's so hard. That's his
Oh,
busy season.
that makes a ton of sense. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah. Let's see. So should we, okay, first let's what do we want to do for our next meeting before we take off July and August? What are folks Heather, the Google or Doodle poll's been nightmarish, but how do you want to handle that?
I'd rather not do a doodle poll at this point for June. We have enough people, I think, to set a meeting date, and then I
Okay.
can announce it to everybody.
Okay.
The doodle poll, I don't know why, but it's not even, I have to keep checking it every day, and it's just becoming a little bit much. I mean,
Yep.
it might not be so bad, but if we can get meetings set up for June, and then I don't know if you guys want to do September, October, November, December, so at least the dates on the books. And then, you guys play around with it for the dates if it needs to change. But then at least it's set up. I mean, I feel like with some of the people, especially if they have legislative or they have stuff, it's hard to plan if I'm sending a doodle poll out a couple weeks before. Whereas if we have a fixed date, then they know that that's the date of the meeting and they can schedule everything around it. And with it being September, that's 3 months out. So you should be able to schedule around the meeting. And I think it would maybe help us increase the time. So Tanya likes the idea. Oh, Tanya, you joined. I'm so happy to see you.
I did.
Um,
I'm so sorry. I was stuck on a call and I've got a terrible
No?
headache this morning. So I am here in all my parts and pieces.
Okay. I
Thanks.
didn't see you join. So I think setting that up, but I don't know because some people work for state government and some people don't, and some people have careers. So, and some people are retired, So is there a date in the week that works good? And is it the beginning, end, or middle of the month that works better for everybody? And then I say we just set a standardized date through December of like the third Monday of every month at 10 a.m. or 1 p.m. or something. And then that way you guys know, because all the other boards and commissions that we work with at the Attorney General's office have that. And I think it's great because they're set out, a year in advance, and then people send the agenda out like 3 weeks before, with like the minutes and stuff. And then that way I feel like we'll be able to be pulled together a little bit better and things will be a little more organized, because it's been a little dash lately, I feel like.
Okay, Mondays. I think Mondays. How do
Okay.
are Mondays? Because that's good for Tanya. It makes no difference in my world. Every day is Monday in my world. So, is Monday okay-ish for other folks? Okay.
Monday's okay. Friday would be better because
Okay.
I'm on the road a lot during the week, and Friday is more of a catch-up day.
Friday morning's okay, says Tanya. Okay, what about Friday mornings instead, folks?
It works for
Mornings.
me depending on the week. I have
Right.
other standing meeting every other week. So as long as we pick a week that's off, it
What
works.
What week do you have off? Like in your week, is it like the second, third, fourth week? What week is it? Do you know?
Well, I will just look at September, like
Okay.
September 18th is free. So from there, every other one.
Okay, so like that's
That's the third Friday in September.
so like the third Friday works for you. It would work for October, November, and December.
Well, sometimes not
It's okay
October
if
because
it
I
doesn't work.
have
It's okay
yeah,
if it
I've
doesn't
got
work
two
all of the
other
time.
groups that do Friday mornings for standing
No,
meetings.
John, is Monday gonna be the end of the world for you, John?
No, I can make that work. It's my day off, and 10 o'clock just grabs the middle of the day.
Right.
So no
Uh,
worries. I'll suffice. 'Cause I
it's
want to move
so
forward.
it's so tough when we have so many people. Ugh.
No worries.
Amanda,
Fridays will work as well for
but
me.
Amanda, yeah. So maybe we do, because I don't want you to have to take your day off, John.
All right. The 10 o'clock hour in the middle of the
Mm.
day. If it's earlier or later, it's okay. That's why
Right.
after lunch works good. But I just soon go with a prescribed day, and Fridays I can make work.
Except for
So-
then was Tanya, but so then if we go Fridays, that takes Tanya into it. Yeah, it's too hot.
So
I
listen,
thought you
this
said it was
is so
better.
people
Friday
don't,
mornings can work. I would prefer not any later than like 1 o'clock.
So can people do like 9 o'clock?
yeah, I
I'm
can be
up
in
at
at 9.
4 a.m. So if y'all want to get up, we can get after it early.
I mean, I'm here at 8, so I mean we can do 8:30, but I don't know, other people usually don't feel comfortable starting until 9, or 10. I'm happy to be here to start a meeting at 8:39 on a Friday. That's fine with me. Does that earlier in the morning work better for you, Peter?
Yeah.
Does me
So-
too.
Are,
8:30 is better for me too.
are we talking about Monday or Friday now?
We're talking about Fridays, I think.
Fridays. So we can do the third Friday, 8:30 a.m. if that works. You're up at 5. I'm so sorry that you start your day at 5, Tanya.
Oh,
That
crap.
seems brutal to me. Okay, so why don't we do the third Friday at 8:30 a.m. starting September 18th? And while I have everybody here for June, what is your June's looking like? Because I think we already have a meeting June 22nd. You were right, Roberta, it's not the 25th, it's the 22nd. I mistyped that in the email. But I can schedule something else for June. I am out June 25th through the 30th. So I won't be here, I'll be in California. So, I mean, you guys can have the meeting without me if you want. I can find somebody maybe to fill in. How are dates then for June for everybody? Is there a week that looks better for everyone in June?
I'm away the week of the 14th through the 20th.
Okay.
We've already
Heather, I
got,
was just looking at the 12th, which would give us a Friday if we wanted to start that Friday at 8:30.
I'm happy to do that on the 12th. Does that work for everybody else?
and then meeting again on the 22nd? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, that will be for the subcommittee,
That's
Roberta.
a subcommittee.
Subcommittee, not, it won't be the full
That's right.
commission. So yeah, I know it's getting confusing, which is why I kind of just want to have it set up because we have more subcommittees. We have 5 subcommittees and it's with all the scheduling and back and forth to keep track of, it's become a little bit much. So if I have everything scheduled for the main commission meetings and then we can decide subcommittee meetings if we want to have those more regular, like on certain dates too within the subcommittees. But I think setting this throughout December, then at least the meetings are on the books, they're advertised. You guys all know when it is. So let's do that. I'll get those put on and I'll send out reminders to everybody.
What was
later
the
in the day
June?
tomorrow.
What was the June
So,
date?
June 12th at 8:30.
Great, thanks.
I will try to make it, but I have an appointment in Southern Maine, a medical thing that day, so I may not be able to make that, but just that's okay. Let's plan it anyway.
Well, I hope you have a safe trip down because that can be kind of far from where you are. So,
Yeah, it'll depend on the timing.
yeah. All right.
I think at this point, I know it's a public meeting, at this point, most of the people in this room know that I have breast cancer again and I'm headed for some big surgeries, so, hey Pete, yeah, you maybe don't know. So, yeah. So I have a big surgery May 26th and I'll be pretty laid up for a couple of weeks, so I don't know if I'll be in that meeting or not, and I don't know if I'll need chemo after that.
Which
So,
is the other reason why I wanted to get meetings set up so that way that's done. And Amanda, if she can make it, she can. I might ask another member of the commission just to step up depending on, I think it has to be, I think according to our charter, the chairperson then who would fill in for Amanda if we needed voting or we needed things like that, it would be, I believe it's IF&W, it's a representative for IF&W or it's Department of Agriculture. So I think it's DACF or whatever. So I'll double check the charter. So if you need to be out, and then at least that way we have that taken care of while you're dealing with that.
yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Any questions? Comments? All right. Should we move on to the next item on the agenda?
Yeah, so it looks like subcommittee 1, ATV use, who can talk to us about that? John?
Well, I know I met on that one. Unfortunately, I'm working off a laptop in my pickup, so I don't have any auxiliary screens, but I mean, Roberta was there too, and she does tremendous at documentation. But I don't know that we came up with anything earth-shattering. Still a consistent concern of does the town have the right to provide access where there's neighboring landowners on either side that probably realistically so have more jurisdiction on it. But Uh, I don't know if there's any others, Roberta, that you can chime in on that really were heated that we came away with, other than we need to find a resolution.
Yeah, I think the person who should be able to determine, or agency who should be able to determine whether it gets to be an ATV trail or not, is the one who would suffer the consequences in terms of maintenance, and that would be the landowners. As I said before, if you can use the easement over the land without touching the land or disturbing the dirt, fine. But it's a little hard to do that with an ATV. Snowmobile is one thing, but an ATV is hard on the road.
I know another thing that just surfaced yesterday, and maybe Pete can chime in on this, but the roads now have been kind of chosen by towns in different situations to be access routes. And they just closed the access route on the access road in Lincoln and just pointed it at DOT with no documentation of any kind of accidents or anything. I'm curious on why first, because that pretty much segregates all of Lincoln and its businesses from the trail system. So if there was an accident or something, I could understand it. Maybe there's data that shows why, but none of it's been brought to the front.
Was that on a state road, John?
It is, yeah, the access road right off the interstate.
Oh, yeah.
I understand it is probably a 55-mile-an-hour zone. It is log traffic, if you will. It is an existing snowmobile and ATV trail. There is, I think it was 2,600 feet, which is hitting the high side of the limit for ATVs on the roads. But it's not damage issues that's causing that. It's on Tide Road, so it's no worse than a log truck. But the big concern. Go ahead.
All you'd have to do is call John Terrio, the region traffic engineer in the Bangor office, and ask him.
Okay, well, I can do that. I guess it was as a surprise to the ATV clubs in the area as it was everybody else, and they just posted it yesterday, which said contact your legislators. I totally understand the concern. You have to have liability insurance for an automobile, so to be on a public way with an ATV that you don't definitely throws some liability around. But and I don't know, there's going to be an incident someday. I'm surprised it hasn't yet, but it's a concern. But it changes the footprint on where the state takes ATV trails.
Another thought is that I believe it was Inland Fisheries that posted a notice about closing trails during mud season, and please stay off the trails until they're firmed up and opened up again. And there was a whole list of responses to it. There were a lot of people who said, yes, by all means, stay off the trails until they're firmed up. This is how we keep landowners being agreeable to having trails. And then there were 2 or 3 people who kept popping back in again who said, this is Maine. We get to use all the roads in Maine. We always have, we always will, and you can't shut us down. Mud season is mud season. We always have mud season, but we have a license that allows us to operate 365 days a year. We're going there anyway. And the responses to those were, well, now we know why trails get shut down. It's people like you. And they're the ones that are the problem. So I keep saying it's usually the road riders that make it bad for everybody else.
It is, no, for sure. Chris will tell you it's the same 5% we chase continuously on any of it. But I just recently on my own road, I have an abandoned and discontinued road, and I totally appreciate being on this committee because I've learned so much. I went to the town and found out that the town of Newburgh does have a recreational and equestrian right of way from my driveway into the town line, but on the opposite end belongs to Hamden, and my brother-in-law owns that land, and he checked in and he can't find any kind of record So he feels he should be able to block it off. And it's a four-wheeler and kids have accessed it for years, but it turned into a problem where kids went and moved his sign and things like that. And I don't know what to say on how to solve the problem because I've begged my whole career to keep snowmobile trail open from landowners, and then you turn around and have to silence this. And you don't want to do that, but the rogue riders are what takes it out.
John, if you want to send me an email with the name and exact location of the road, I can see if I've already got a record on that one. Because I know I've looked up several roads in Newburgh before.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. It's actually in the town of Hamden, but I'll follow up with that when I get a second. Thank you, Roberta. I do know the industry in general, between snowmobiling and ATV, and brings in 1.5 billion of income and recreational uses for people, and people like that. So to have somebody just throw a thing similar to the situation with DOT, if you just axe it because of a what if situation, it really changes the footprint of where we go ahead. I'd rather see people get educated, and Roberta's right. I mean, everyone's kind of defending, yeah, it's mud season, just do the right thing. But then you get 2 or 3 keyboard warriors that just want to have their say, and that's make us all look bad because of that. But I don't know. I wish I had some earth-shattering, exciting. This is going to be a new program that we can try and solve the issue, but right now, towns don't even understand if they have the ability to green light on regular roads, let alone abandoned, discontinued. So
So I feel like, sorry, I was gonna say, you go.
No, you go.
Well, mine was just gonna be, I've thought about this before, and I know Pete does a lot of outreach with the roads, with the realtors and stuff like that. So maybe part of the component would be the commission looking and seeing if there are ways to, maybe with MMA's help, look through and educate the towns on some of the things that we do, the issues and the things that they have the right to do. Because I think one of the reasons why we wrote the legislation the way it was last year was to let some of these towns know that they have the right to actually fix their public easements, right? And that there's no penalty for that, and to allow them to maybe drop rocks on the road or something, so then it can be graded and it's not so bad for these public easements. But the towns didn't seem to know that, or they weren't willing to say. I don't think they were willing to say. I think they were unsure of the law, so we clarified some of that stuff. So much of the commission, I feel like, is clarifying what we do and clarifying the laws. So maybe some of that is letting the towns know, or I think some of this is just outreach. We don't have a budget for that, but that was something, you could always put something together for the legislature or something within that. But Tanya, did you want to say something?
Yeah, if it's outreach to towns in terms of clarity on rules and regulations, it's definitely within our purview to communicate something like that. So if we had folks that could help develop the content, I don't think the commission would need a budget because I think we can get that message out because it's in the best
Right.
interest of our member communities. So I'll run it up the flagpole when the boss is back next week, but I'm happy to have that conversation because I think it would be really helpful if people were getting consistent messaging and also consistent resources about where to go if they have questions.
I agree.
I
Sounds
think part
excellent.
of the problem is that it's not really clear who does have the jurisdiction to decide if it's going to be an ATV trail or not, because the laws don't agree with each other. We have the abandonment statute now saying that public easement is not for use by ATVs. And then we have discontinued statute, which doesn't limit it one way or the other. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions with towns In our town, we tried to get them to use that new law to do at least some maintenance on these roads. And we were specifically asking for one road where there are five, let's see, no more than that. There are 4 residences, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people at least that are senior citizens with health issues. And there's a question of emergency access. And the town was afraid to use that statute because they thought, well, if we put maintenance into this road, then everybody on every public easement in town and everybody on every private road in town is going to want us to fix their roads too. And there needs to be some way of getting across to them that, no, this shouldn't set a precedent. This should be a case-by-case basis. When there is a legitimate need for, as the law says, fire and police protection, but that should include ambulance protection or any emergency services. So maybe that's something that needs to be tweaked in the law, is to put any emergency services on there. But also to make it clear to towns that this should not set a precedent for just blanket doing every road in town that somebody asks for.
I think though, in my experience, the problem isn't that they don't understand that concept. It's not a lack of understanding of the law. It's a lack of wanting to deal with the blowback. Because setting a precedent is just a matter of a practical reality of, you do it for one road, even if you have the right to do it, you're going to hear about it from everybody else, and they just don't want to hear about it. So that's really what it is. I mean, I'm sure there's towns that don't understand the law, no question about it, but most of them, including probably yours, were like, no thanks. Just in my experience. But to the extent we can use MMA as a vehicle for educating towns, that's wonderful.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Tom, you're in Western Maine, right? Tom,
I'm sorry.
you're in Western Maine, kind of.
Yes, near the Mount Blue State Park, Weld, yes, West Franklin County, yeah.
Do you have ATV trail systems like you do sled systems over there?
Yes, I can't remember the route numbers, but yes, there are some up through. There's a trail system that goes through. It's kind of interesting. The state park here in Weld, which comprises about probably 25% of the acreage of the town of Weld, and some in Avon, and some in the town of Avon, and also some in the town in on the unorganized township of number 6. They're tax exempt property, and they built and have had quite a number of ATV trails and snowmobile trails through the park. In the last couple of years, due to management decisions, they've decided not to open those. So here we are encouraging ATV use and snowmobile use by private landowners on private land, I should say. And yet here in Weld, the park has decided that for reasons, for environmental reasons, not to allow it. So it's an interesting dichotomy, I believe. The state, on one hand, is encouraging private landowners to open their lands, and while the state, in fact, is not doing the same thing. It's an interesting concept, and a lot of that use is on old former town roads that were abandoned or discontinued back in the 1930s.
I wish Matt and Joe were here to hear that because I wasn't aware of that.
It's I'm not sure how it's going to be this year, but it'll be interesting to see. Interesting to see how they approach it this year.
Yeah. Thanks for that tidbit.
Yeah, you may want to follow up on that.
I guess I was just gonna ask John and Roberta, when you folks, that subcommittee met, or was it just the one time you folks had met?
Yes.
And were all of your members there?
Yeah.
And do you feel like,
No, I was supposed to be
Oh.
there and I couldn't
Oh,
make
that's
it.
right. You weren't there. Sorry, Amanda.
do you feel like you left it where if you folks have another conversation, you can make more movement, or are we just kind of in an education position, or where do you think you are?
I'm not sure. Maybe Heather did. I took notes, but like I said, I'm operating off one screen and pick up. I don't have them with me, but uh, I don't know that we came away with any kind of course of action.
I think everybody was gonna think, I think there was talk, so I'm just gonna look through my notes here quickly. We talked about the jurisdictional issue. And I think what we came to the conclusion is right now, it seems like it relies, the towns are the ones that have the right for the public easements that deal with our, that the commission can impact. So the abandoned discontinued roads, the public easement, the permission to use it lies with the towns, because the towns are the ones, I believe, that hold the public easements, I believe is what is determined by this. And then I don't think we got much further on what we wanted to do with that. If we wanted to make a recommendation, I think everyone wanted to kind of think about it. We discussed the landowners, and the access rights, the impact. And then we talked about maybe the necessity of a centralized map or list that would allow people and even towns to kind of see. A lot of this seems to still come down to, from what even we were talking about, and Roberta, you can fill in here probably, and John, that we don't know what the abandoned discontinued roads are, and we don't know what type it is. So it really goes back, it's very circular. So because some of the abandoned and some of the roads that are abandoned or discontinued will allow ATVs, some of them only allow snowmobiles. And then Chris was saying it's really hard for them then to enforce that. So, I mean, it comes back to the registry, and somehow, especially with IF&W and the wardens being able to know what laws they can enforce on these roads, because if they don't know the legal status of the road, they can't enforce the laws on the road. So I think, John and Roberta, is that kind of where we circled back to? At least what I felt was that it still seems like the underlying pin issue is these public easements. There's two types, really, depending on when they were created, and that's causing a lot of confusion.
Yeah, right. We did talk about having an inventory of roads and having that inventory include whether or not a road is an ATV trail.
Yeah, no, that was excellent. And thanks for dragging that up.
Okay.
Because we're all just, until the towns sink their teeth in it and take some ownership, whether it's wrong or they choose not to participate, just having a blank answer of yes, this is going to be, or no, this is not going to be, to help the towns people and the ridership understand this town participates, this town doesn't, if you will. Just walking into my own town office, they just kind of throw their hands in the air and, well, I don't know, and they all want to take or they seem like it's too big of a piece of apple to bite, rather than take a little piece at a time and try to, let's clear this road up. This is the one road. If we takes this a year to clear this one road up, let's work on it. And then, okay, next year you do another road or what have you. I would like to think, and Roberta's probably got the best inventory of what towns do play and what towns don't play. And you also we don't want to, as a commission, sit there with a finger pointed at, hey, that town just doesn't want to play with us. I think they just need the education of, this is how we got to start sorting through these issues.
I think that was also why we thought too, we discussed, I think every group that I sat in for the subcommittees talked about sending out the survey that we had talked about. And I had sent the link to Tanya for MMA, because I think what we're trying to get our hands on is, what do the towns know on their roads, and how many of them are aware and how many aren't? And we were kind of hoping maybe if we do the survey and we get enough responses back, we can kind of then start seeing, how much information do they really have, each of these towns, and who do we need to maybe work with or something. I don't even know if that's really in our charter, because you know, that's more of a legal determination, but at least start maybe getting the towns to maybe take a look, you know, or at least know what roads they have. You know, if they don't know, or if they're like, well, we think we have 5, but we don't really know. We don't know how they're used. And then I think it seems like it underpins everything, right? Because even like the public easements and stuff that we were talking about yesterday, if they don't need the public easement, you know, maybe then they turn that back to the landowners or something like that. I think, what do you think, Amanda? Meter. I don't know if I'm making sense or I'm just talking to hear myself talk anymore. I don't,
No, stop.
you know.
I think that makes sense. Sorry. Yeah.
It seems like it's a step-by-step process. Like I think
I think
we need the information.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And I agree with what John said. For some of these towns, it feels like just an overwhelming, an overwhelming gulp. And Roberta, I think in a perfect world, we would, in your perfect world, you know, we would give abutters the right to shut this access down or something, if roughly that's, or at least, you know, not, but stepping back from perfect world to reality. You mentioned that currently we have a disconnect or lack of clarity between the abandonment statute and the discontinued statutes. I wonder if there's anything in there we can at least tighten up or clean up as an interim step.
I think certainly it'll help to know what we've got. If we can get towns to do the inventories. And it's really to the town's advantage to know what they have.
Of course.
I think what they're afraid of is that there are some cases where the records aren't clear, and they don't want to make a legal pronouncement and then find out that they're wrong. And what I'm asking is, don't make any legal determination, just find where the records are.
Yep.
Then if a question comes up, you can at least say, here are the records.
Or that none exist, which sometimes is also the case. But yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question, if I might. Maybe Roberta or somebody could help me with it. I'm using my little town as an example. Here in Weld, a good portion of the town was developed in the 1830s, 40s, 50s, 150 years ago. And a lot of roads were then abandoned, discontinued over that period of time, especially up through the early 1930s, 40s. And lots of those roads in the town of Weldon, I bet the town office doesn't even have a record of when those were abandoned. If they are, it's probably in an annual town meeting report. If you can read the handwriting, they're from 1922 or something. There might be an article voted yes to abandon, but most in the road was named for somebody or something. They don't even know the name, doesn't correlate to everything anybody knows today. So is there a time frame? I guess what I'm trying to ascertain, is there a time frame that's important? Is it 1950 on, or is it 1950 prior to 1950, or since 1950? Is there anything like that that we should be concentrating on? Or are we going back to the beginning of time, or are we talking about the last 4 or 5 decades, something like that? That's my question, I guess.
That's a good question. My feeling is that ideally we want to get the entire record, because we have situations where a road was laid out in Massachusetts in 1810, and then Maine never did anything with it, or where Maine did take it on as a road, but then didn't maintain it. There are kind of clusters of discontinuances, particularly around the Depression. People moved away from the farms, moved into the cities, and once the farms were abandoned, there was no need to keep the road open. So there are groups where some of the highest concentrations of discontinuances are, but they're all over the place. You never know where you're going to find one. And what I often do is, as you say, going through the town reports, going through the records of the results of the votes on the town reports, which are often handwritten and hard to read. You can get wording that's unclear, like voted to accept the road or to accept the road. You know, which way is it spelled? Is it ACC or EXC? And if an article was passed, or was the article passed over? So, you know, these things can be hard to untangle, and I realize that. But if you at least know where to look for the record, that's a start. And a lot of that can be done pretty simply by volunteers. I've gone to the state library where they have a pretty complete collection of annual reports for towns. There are some holes, and there are some towns that did a better job of turning them in than others did. But I'll sit down with the people who have a question about a road, and I'll show them, this is what you look for. Just look for any article that says abandoned, discontinued, laid out, closed, altered, anything like that. And just note down the year and the number of the warrant article and basically what it says. Don't try to interpret it, just put that down. And then when there's a question, you know where to go to look for the answer. And you can take that record to an attorney if need be. A lot of them, it's really pretty clear. And then we'll at least know those. If it says that the road was voted discontinued and it was before 1965 and that's all it says, there is no easement. If it says discontinued with an easement retained, then you've got to figure out exactly what that means. If it was after 1965 and it doesn't say anything about an easement, then automatically there is one. So, as I said, those are pretty clear. And if we can at least get those nailed down, then we've got fewer disputes.
Thank you. That was good information.
It was, Roberta. That's
Roberta, what was the 76 date that you threw out?
Yeah, there are two important dates. One is September 3rd, 1965, which is the date on which the discontinuance law changed to say that an easement is automatically retained unless it says otherwise. 1976 was when they changed it from saying that a private way is retained to saying a public easement is retained. And also at the same time, this is on July 29th, 1976, I think. There were three laws having to do with roads that changed at that same time. One was changing the discontinuance law to change it from private way to public easement. One was that the abandonment law came into being at that time. And one was the definition of roads in Title 23, Section 3021. It defined what a townway was, and it defined what a public easement was. And a public easement is defined as including roads retained as private ways under the previous discontinuance statute. And this is where some of the gray area comes in. It specifically says roads retained as a private way under section 3004 are public easements. Well, that only goes back to 1965. And now they're saying that any road that was retained as a private way prior to 1976 is now a public easement. And where's the authority to do that? That's one of the questions.
So 65 is generally the date we go after, other than verbiage changes in 76.
Yeah, pretty much so. The other thing is that in 1976, all county ways in organized townships became townways. So before 1976, if there was a county way, the town couldn't discontinue it without going to the county. After 1976, the town could just discontinue it. And this is where part of the record keeping gets confusing, because back in the late 70s or early 80s, the DOT did a project where they went to the county records and they went through page by page looking for anything that had to do with roads, similar to what I recommend doing with the town reports. And they compiled records of all the discontinued county roads, also all the layouts and all the alterations and all the petitions for roads. So they have the the county discontinuance is on record, but only up until 1976, because after that, if a county road was discontinued, it was done by the town. So that wouldn't have shown up in the county records.
Gotcha.
Should we? Thank you all for that. Should we move on to, just looking, I wonder.
I think before we do that, Amanda,
Yeah.
Heather, there is a bunch of conversation in the chat, which I know can't go out over the live stream, so maybe we want to recap.
Do you want me to read do you want me to read the chat?
But just up to you. I think you said in a previous
I
meeting
had
that
seen that they were popping on the chat, but I was waiting for everybody to finish. So the only thing about the chat is it's great to use, but then I can't, since it's a public meeting, I can't, nobody else can see it. So it doesn't come through on Zoom or on the thing. So since we're having a meeting, I'm just going to read the chat. So we talked about the dates. So I think the dates were pretty clear, where we all agreed on what dates would work to have a standard thing. John asked Tanya, what kind of response could we expect from the towns when we started talking about the sending out the questionnaire to towns about what public roads or public easements they have. So John asked Tanya, what kind of response could we expect from towns? Towns that choose not to answer could be the loopholes we're trying to solve. Amanda Meter said, true, maybe we can just get what we can. John said, some better than nothing. And Tanya Emery said, I don't think we have any ability to compel them to answer, but we can get what we get to start and assess next steps based on that. And then Amanda Meter said, agreed. So,
Yeah,
and I'll save the chat for record purposes if anybody needs to see it at the end anyway. So, but thank you for pointing out, Amanda.
yeah, I would agree that some is better than nothing. And hopefully when towns that haven't done it see the benefits in the towns that have done it, they'll say, gee, maybe this is something that's doable and maybe it's worth doing.
That makes sense to me, yes.
I know years ago, there was an attorney with MMA that wrote a piece for the MMA newsletter advocating doing an inventory of discontinued roads and saying that this can be tremendously useful in avoiding lawsuits, knowing exactly what you have and what you don't have. So it's something that definitely is beneficial for towns if they do it. Maybe part of it is letting them know how it can be done, so it doesn't seem like an entirely daunting task.
Tanya?
Roberta, it's funny that you say that because in our magazine right now, we're pulling out some old news stories just because it's like our 90th anniversary. I'm like, maybe we should dust that one off and rerun it. But that sounds like the kind of thing that would be very helpful for us to put in legal notes or something like that. So I'm happy to work with the group. I apologize. I do have to jump soon because I have to go get a kid to take her to the dentist. So I'll catch up on the rest of the recording and just don't volunteer me for anything, but feel free to contact me to follow up. I'd be happy to help.
If it's helpful, I can send you a link to that article.
Wonderful, Roberta. That would make it so much easier. Thank you.
I'd like that too, Roberta. Thank you.
Who is that?
John.
That was John.
You'd like it too?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Perhaps we all could get that if we could, Roberta, if that's not too much trouble.
Okay.
Should we move on to agenda item 3? I mean, group subcommittee 3, the next agenda item.
Yeah, let's see. So that is public easements, problems and solutions. I don't know.
You were there.
I know, but
Roberta was there. Jeff was there. Amanda was there.
yeah, I count myself out right now.
Okay. So you guys had met, the subcommittee 3 had met twice. The first meeting, we went into the public easements and the history of it, and I sent a bunch of stuff for the subcommittee to review. Jim Katsioufikis had written a very good history on the roads for the legislature when he sent out his first report. So I had sent that to the subcommittee members to get them up to date. I sent the background on what we had done on minimum maintenance roads, where we had put in for voluntary for doing minimum maintenance on public easement roads, so they could see that. And I did the discussion the commission had last year on mandatory minimum roads and why we voted the way we did to just leave it voluntary. The second meeting we just had yesterday, or not yesterday, was it Monday? I think it was Monday.
Monday.
We reviewed a little bit from the last time to discuss like the tasks that we wanted to move forward on. Subcommittee right now is going to work on language for a poll of town assessors through Tanya and MMA to see if there are discrepancies, because one of the questions that came up was, are people who live on discontinued and abandoned roads paying more for taxes because they should have a discounted rate? And how are the town assessors handling that? Are they aware of that or not? And then we discussed the process of how to end public easements that serve no purpose. And then Roberta was going to email the drafts that she has with language on some of that. And everyone was going to review that via email and make suggestions. And then we're meeting again June 25th to discuss and review the language and the suggestions that have been made. Is that a good capsulation?
Yes, thank you. I'm on so many subcommittees, it's hard for me to keep track of what we did on which one. So it's very helpful. I think one of the major things is if we can split the discontinuance of town ways from the discontinuance of public easements to make it an easier process to resolve what happens to a public easement. If it really is not needed by the town, how do we get rid of it? And there is a process now in the town discontinuance statute, section 3026A, but it makes that statute so long and convoluted and confusing that I don't know of any town that has used it since that got amended. That doesn't mean there aren't any, it's just I haven't heard about it. I do know of at least 3 places where someone has tried to use it. One of them I know was successful. They actually managed to get rid of a piece of a public easement. And this was a case where there was a long road that connected between 2 other roads, and somebody owned a piece of land in the middle. And he didn't want people using it as a through road and messing up his land in the middle. And so what he proposed was discontinue just this little piece in the middle, discontinue the easement over it. And part of the reason that it worked so well was because he happened to be the president of the snowmobile club, which had their snowmobile trail down this piece of discontinued road. And he very kindly rerouted the trail around the edge of his property so it didn't go down the road anymore. And the snowmobile club was perfectly happy with that. So the town did vote to discontinue that piece of public easement. I think it needs to be made a little more clear in the law that you don't have to discontinue the entire public easement end to end, because often the people that are on the ends don't have any particular stake in it. They don't care. They don't need the road. So they won't sign in on discontinuing the public easement. They just don't have it stay there. And if you can go beyond them and discontinue the inner part of it and not leave anybody landlocked, that should be able to work. That often will stop it from being a through road, which stops having so much nuisance traffic going through. And it's often the nuisance traffic that's the problem, because they have no particular stake in the road. They don't care what they leave behind them, because they don't own any property on the road. They don't need to have that road. It's the people who need it that suffer. So that was one of the steps that we're working on, is trying to separate the discontinuance of a town way from the discontinuance of a public easement. The one that we keep coming back to is, are public easements even constitutionally sound? Because we have that case, Jordan versus Canton, that we keep coming back to, that says that a public road with no public maintenance will inevitably be destroyed. That destroys property access. That constitutes a taking, which requires just compensation. And how do you compensate when the destruction keeps happening? You can't say, okay, we're taking into account the reduced value of your property due to it no longer being a public road. But then you rebuild the road so you can get to your property, and somebody comes in and ruins it, and you have to rebuild it again. And this happens over and over again. So And somehow we need to get an opinion on whether this is even constitutional. The State and Local Government Committee has been unwilling to declare it a solemn occasion, so as to be able to ask for an opinion of the justices. So what's it going to take? Is it going to take a lawsuit? How do we do this? Meanwhile, the people on these roads keep having to rebuild the road, and you're rebuilding a public road at private expense. One of the things that I did was I made up a sort of a quiz on public easements, showing what statutes, and it's sort of an open book quiz. I give the statutes and the court cases on each point, and then the questions are, what does this say? So hopefully to give you an idea of what we're thinking. Oh, Amanda, you're muted.
Yeah, and my 3 dogs just walked into the room, so sorry. So that was a nice recap, and I missed the last 30 seconds of it because of those 3 dogs. So what did you want me to answer?
Oh, just
I
about
don't have.
the open book quiz that I gave you.
What about it? It was good. It was a good distraction. Thank you. What? I aced it. What? I mean, I think you covered nicely what we figured out and what we don't have an answer for right now. And I continue to be a proponent of gaining the ground that we can gain while acknowledging that you and your husband are frustrated beyond belief. I mean, I don't have an answer to the solemn occasion piece, because you're right, we're not. I know on our first time we met, all of us, we talked about maybe until this committee or commission can solve as many pieces of that as possible, we'll get laughed out of the room. But even still, I don't know what it will take to get, like you said, short of a lawsuit, if that legislative committee won't get on board to ask, agree for us to go ask that question. I don't know. I don't have that answer.
Meanwhile, if we could at least get towns to recognize that these roads do need to be maintained somehow. And I realize that towns don't want to spend the money to repair them because it's expensive. Well, when they admit that, they're saying that, yeah, these people who are living on these roads and depending on them for access, they're faced with the expense of maintaining them. Is that right?
Right. Which, I mean, obviously the answer is no, that's not right. I mean, that's a pretty simple one to me. I know, having worked at MMA, and I know Tanya had to leave us, but I understand the position that is presented and will be presented from MMA. But
yeah, that's why we had presented the idea for minimum maintenance roads.
right.
We know that it's expensive. Believe me, we know, because we've been putting out the expense. But these roads don't need to be brought to full town road standard. And this is one of these things that scares the towns, is that, well, under law, they're required to keep their roads safe and convenient for the motoring public. And there are state guidelines for what that means. And a lot of towns have accepted those guidelines, and they want all their towns to be, all their townways to be, paved so many feet wide with shoulders and ditches and the whole 9 yards. That's not what we're asking for. We just want a little help. If they could put 1 load of gravel in the worst mud hole each year, that's better than nothing.
Right.
So the question is how to empower towns to do that and give them the confidence that that doesn't mean that they're opening a whole can of worms that they're not going to be able to afford. In our original bill, the one that triggered this commission getting formed, we had limited it to only public easements that are established due to road being discontinued, and where the public easement still remains, only if there is a full-time residence on that road. And then only if that full-time residence is taxed as residential property. And or if the town has granted a building permit to build a residence. So it really narrowed down how many roads would be affected by it. It'd be very, very specific, and just the ones that really need help.
I think we actually had done a bill for that, like a draft legislation for that last year, right? Because we got all the way to the draft. So I can look and see if I can find the draft for the mandatory minimum maintenance roads and send that out to everybody if you guys are interested. I don't remember it differing though too much from the minimum maintenance roads, except for what is that? I can't remember. I have to go back and look, but that it would be required for the towns to help. Was that the difference, Roberta? Do you remember? I have to go back and look.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think it was as specific about which public easements would be mandatory.
I'll go back. I'll look and see if I can't find. I don't remember how far we got in the process because I know at one point we stopped with looking at mandatory and just focused on the voluntary
because MMA will never in a million years let that go through. Never.
Well, they weren't there for the vote, and I think we had gone back and forth on it so much. And I think one of the things that Jim did not want to have happen again in front of the legislature is for it to have a divided report from us, because things like this last time, because everyone on the commission agreed for everything 100%, it sailed right through, committee. And so we got, I don't want to say we got in trouble, but we had a difficulty. We had a divided report before. And then going forward after that, we were like, no, everything needs to be unanimous on the commission. Like we all need to agree or it just doesn't go forward. So I think that's why, and that just passed. So that was in our 2025 report, and we worked on that through 2024. And then 2025, we were waiting for things to pass on that because the governor was holding that bill. And so that, I think we've already talked about, that didn't go into effect until January. So.
Yeah, I'm still not clear what the effective date was. Did it become effective immediately when it passed the governor's desk, or?
So it's 90 days from the date she signs it. So I can't remember what date. So we're at the end of April, right? So February, March, April.
So it's not 90 days after signature, it's 90 days after the adjourn. If it happened this session, the 90 days starts today. And it'll be the end of July.
Okay, well, that's good to know, because that was what I was trying to figure out. Okay. All right. Thank you for letting me know, Jeff.
Yeah.
So I think we're making progress. I think, right? We're just better than nothing.
I wonder one option would be to put in two separate proposals, one for the things we all agree on and one for the things that nearly all of us agree on, and just separate them so that we can have one that's unanimous and then not throw something out just because one person disagrees.
Do you mean when we submit to the legislature? Yeah, I know that crossed my mind too. If we have
what we submit to the state and local government.
I feel like we should wait until the fall.
Yeah.
Like it's still pretty early. We're gonna have so many more conversations. Let's try to get everybody to consensus.
Yeah.
But then we can have that discussion if we find that we're not getting there.
Yeah. I think it's too soon for that, but definitely. Yeah, agreed. All right. Should we kind of just boogie along here to hear about subcommittee 456, the survey inventory repository? Maybe we've kind of touched on that, but I don't know if there's somebody who wants to share a little more.
So they've only met. Oh, sorry. Whoever wants to go can go ahead, because I have that we only met once. So
yeah, I wasn't sure who was on that committee.
Peter and Tom and
Roberta.
I'm just gonna go get some more water. You guys go right ahead.
I think Amanda Meter, and I'm trying to remember who else. I'm sorry. I should have my list with me, but I just had to move rooms really quickly, and so that got left behind. I got kicked out of the last place I was in. So.
Oh, that's fun. I'm That's probably the one I missed. I started missing stuff because I started having all kinds of crazy appointments and
Yeah,
scans.
that's
So
worries.
Which one are we looking at? 4, 5,
4, 5, and 6.
okay, let's see, survey, inventory, and repository. I have down Peter, Roberta, Kathy, and Tom.
Thank you. It's Kathy. That's who I was forgetting. Um, do the people who are on the meeting want to talk about what we did, or would you guys like me to give you an overview of what I have in my notes?
Overview, please, because I don't remember. I've
Okay.
been on the road too much.
So we did discuss multiple municipal inventories and public easements. The committee wanted to review the following materials before they met again. The municipal survey, the draft that we had worked on in 2024 that we have not sent out. The public easement templates Roberta had provided regarding discontinuance of public easements, and Hancock County records. Roberta was going to share the link to Hancock County book for what I believe the abandoned discontinued roads look like at the Registry of Deeds for the county, like how they made the notations. And then I believe the next meeting, which we haven't set a date yet, would focus on the review and how you guys wanted to proceed with the recommendations for the County Registry of Deeds. Does that sound right?
I did send out the link to the book put out by Hancock County.
Yep,
and
you did.
What that is that was taken from the DOT project that I mentioned, where they went through all the county records. And it basically gives the town, the year, the book and page number, and a code letter for what the action was. And that book is specifically a compilation of all the discontinuances that they found. Again, these are only county roads. It doesn't list discontinuances of townways, and it also doesn't list discontinuances of county ways after 1976 when they became townways. But it gives an example of what can be done for an inventory without trying to interpret it or put any legal interpretation on it. It just is a list of where you can find the records. And that's what I've been recommending for towns to do as an inventory on townways. Let's see, what was it that you just mentioned? So, I also, the county registries of deeds are willing to be a home for these inventories if towns will do them. They have found that county book to be tremendously helpful, and it would be helpful to them when somebody comes in and asks about a road if they could have a similar listing for townways, so people would know where to go to look for the record.
Roberta, that list that you had there was obtained from Joe Berry, who used to work up in that office several years ago until he retired. And the date on this, well, it doesn't have a date, but it's an old pin printout report. Have you asked those folks up there, do they have anything more up to date? Because this says as of 1999.
Well, what happened was that I think 1999 is the date when I obtained that copy of it. Because the research project was actually done in the late 70s or early 80s. And what they did was, as you say, it was on an old computer that did this pin printout. And when I first went in to ask them about it, and found that they had this list, I said, gee, can you sort it to bring out just the discontinuances? Because their list included layouts, petitions, closings, and discontinuances. And they said, sure, we'll have that for you in a couple of days. And I thought I was going to get a packet of maybe a dozen pages or something. And instead they gave me this book that's 3/4 of an inch thick. And so then the reason that the registries of deeds ended up with it is because years later, probably on that date that you found on it, no, that it would have been later than that. Anyway, the Registers of Deeds Association asked me to come and speak to them about discontinued roads. And I brought my copy of the book with me. And they said, "Oh, where did you get that? Can we get a copy of it?" And I said, "Sure, just ask the DOT." Well, I went out and asked the DOT and they said, "Oh, sorry, the computer program that did that no longer exists. We have the information printed out, but we no longer have the ability to sort it to bring out just the discontinued roads." So I got permission from the DOT to copy it at the expense of the registries of deeds. We made out 16 copies of it, and each of the registries of deeds got a copy. Hancock County then digitized it and made it available online. So that's how that happened.
right.
I later went back to Joe Barry and I said, "Gee, is there any way to get the rest of what was in that file, not just the discontinuances, but the layouts and alterations?" And he said, "Well, I can give you a digitized copy on a flash drive." So I now have the copy of that, and I just made that available to the registries of deeds on a flash drive. I'm not sure what they will do with it, but hopefully they'll make that available online too. But again, that's just county roads. That doesn't count townways.
All right. I'll go up and chat with Guy up there to talk about this a little bit.
If you would like a copy of what I've got, I'd be happy to send it to you.
I've got the link right here on Hancock County.
Yeah, but what I've got is beyond just the discontinued roads. I've got the one that has all the layouts and alterations as well.
Okay. All right. By the way, Roberta, I found that MMA article that was April of 1991. Joe Wathen, since deceased, unfortunately, wrote that article, and it's a good one. It talks all about how to put a road inventory together. So I can let Amanda know about that. Not Amanda. Yeah, Amanda from MMA.
Oh, Tanya.
Tanya. Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
It's in fact it's right in their roads manual. It's just Appendix T, which I understand has just been rewritten or is about to be rewritten. So they probably kept it right in there because that was written in 1991 and it's been in every version of their roads manual since.
I've got a copy of it. I can send it out to everybody on the commission.
It's a bit outdated though, because it talks about keeping things in 3-ring binders and plastic sleeve folders and so on and so forth. So loose leaf binders and 3-ring binders.
There are some towns that have it that way. Dixfield, I think, I've seen their binder, and it's very thorough. They have copies of all of the articles for discontinuance on every road they've got.
Oh, that's fantastic. Nice.
So I spend a lot of time doing inventories at town offices. I just did one this week, and because of the turnover is so frequent in these town offices that if you have new people in there, they really don't have any past information. But if you can find a person that's been involved with roads for a while, like the guy I was with the other day, he's a 44-year-old road commissioner and he grew up there. And so he remembered all this stuff because he grew up in town. So he knew what was maintained, but then he had some history on all of the other roads in town. And that's the sort of thing that, he didn't have anything written down, and most towns don't. It's rare for me to find a town that has a list of all the roads printed A to Z. Every once in a while, I'll run into one that they actually do. But it's not all the roads in town, including discontinued and abandoned stuff. It's pretty much just the public roads they maintain.
I do know that some towns included in their comprehensive plans.
Right.
Sometimes all that includes is the roads that still exist, but some towns do mostly the roads as well. And you're right about finding someone who's been in the town for a long time and knows. The problem with that is that sometimes you have an old timer who has retired who actually does know because he did the maintenance, and somebody else comes in who maybe has lived in town but wasn't necessarily aware of everything that was being done. And he may say, oh no, we've never maintained that road. When if you went and asked the old road commissioner, he'd say, oh yeah, we graded that every year. I've seen
Yeah.
that happen in a couple of towns.
Yep.
All right, we good on that one for the moment?
So with Tanya not being here, and as
Yeah.
she said, they were looking through some old stuff.
Mm.
Because that article was written by Joe in 1991, I think it would be a real good to update that article and run something like it again.
She'd have, yeah, maybe she can ask. I know legal, I think is terribly short-staffed and a bunch of very junior attorneys at this point, but
Yep.
maybe this summer, because I know they're still in the, where are we, April? I don't know. It should
I'm
be
gonna
a,
be I'm
go
gonna be
ahead.
doing I'm gonna be doing some training with Sarah, one of the new ones there,
Yeah.
week after next.
Maybe you can talk to the,
And I can talk to her about it. I gotta talk to Sue too.
okay, good, yeah, because I think, oh, right, because they're new, sorry. Their new, whatchamacallit, attorney in charge is Pringle. He's Harry Pringle ran Drummond Woodson forever. It's Pringle's son, who I think has pretty limited municipal law experience. So yeah, talk to Sue.
Okay.
Read between those lines. Okay.
If they do run it again, it may be good for a introductory paragraph to put it in context with this commission maybe, and why, you know, how, resurrecting that article may be helpful for what we're trying to accomplish here. Maybe good to tee it up that way.
Right.
That's an excellent thought, I think. That's an excellent idea.
Yep.
Peter, if you're going to be talking to MMA, one thing I don't know if you can make clear to them so they can be helpful with it is the Title 23, Section 3121 that's supposed to apply to a privately owned road where there are two or more residents. And if there's not a road association, it's presumed that all the abutters share equally in the cost of maintenance. And that has become problematic because people have taken the words private road to mean any road that isn't maintained by the public. And that, of course, expands it to mean discontinued and abandoned roads. And you can't just say that everybody on a discontinued or abandoned road is presumed to share equally in the maintenance, because sometimes these aren't even roads at all. They were discontinued without easement. And you can't suddenly tell a person who's purchasing a piece of land that, oh yeah, this is a private road and shared maintenance. And they move in, they build a house, and then somebody else puts up a gate and says, no, that road was discontinued in 1932 without easement. I own it. And I've seen this happen too many times, and it's because of misinterpreting those words private road.
Okay.
Should we jump to subcommittee 8 and 12?
Sure, that's
Yeah.
you and Roberta. So do you guys?
Yeah. Did we, sorry, Roberta, I think we met and I don't know. Quick, Roberta, take over.
Let's see, 8 and 12 is to separate easement discontinuance and to come up with the easement template. And we were going to correspond via email and see what we could get done on that.
Yeah.
I did propose a template, I believe. It probably needs some work. And we did talk about splitting the discontinuance of townways from discontinuing public easements. We've already kind of touched on that here in this.
Yeah. Everything's just screwed up because my bad news started on March 3rd. So everything in my life has just been completely derailed since then. So typically I would have already, I actually asked for documents from Roberta before that so I could tackle them and be ready, and then everything went upside down. So I'm not getting I'm not getting any of this stuff done right now. I'm not sleeping, so.
You have a perfectly legitimate excuse. Nobody
I
is going to
just,
blame
if
you at all.
if I look completely useless, it's because I am right now.
Well, I'm kind of second behind you, I think, because for about the same period of time, we have had a sick dog.
Right, so,
And still dealing with it. You know, he was over it and he's
yeah,
lapsing again.
so don't be too alarmed by my lack of everything, because hopefully this will get resolved sooner rather than later, and I can get back in the saddle and pay attention to the things that frankly Roberta is creating and sending ever so helpfully. But for the next couple of months, all bets are off. So that's just what's happening. So
Well, having said that, is there anyone else, and I can ask the larger commission, who would like to maybe participate and help Roberta with language, so
I
that
mean,
maybe
we need like a real estate we need a land use real estate attorney is the problem. We need me or Jim. We need somebody with my kind of experience.
I'm happy to claw back Jim. I mean,
I
don't think he wants to come back, but you know, can you show up at his house? You know, it'll be fine.
Let's just I should have pathology results on hopefully by June 1st. And that'll dictate next steps. So if it's, bad news, then we should probably pull some help in. If it's better news, then I don't think we need to do that to Jim. Yeah. So, yeah. So we'll see. Let's give it a little more time to resolve itself one way or the other. So, but I do apologize for being not, very useful at the moment. So,
and I apologize for being kind of out of it because of not having had much sleep, because we've been having to take the dog out for a walk every couple of hours, 24 hours a day when he's going through bad spells.
Yeah. So we're all just doing our best, even if that's all we can do, but we're here, we're trying. So, so we will. I know I've got documents from Roberta and they probably just need a little tweaking, and so we'll get them tweaked one way or the other. I'm not worried about that. And I think we're on the same page for how to move forward for the most part. So I'm feeling hopeful about a lot of things in this commission. Not feeling that hopeful about other things right now. But anyway, so we will get there. Let's see, where's our agenda? So we're working on it, is the bottom line there. And then on the County Abandonment Authority, that was, I think, going to just be me, Roberta, and then Tom, right? And then I don't remember if there's somebody else, but I think Tom wasn't around for that last meeting. And so I think we were hoping to kind of gather up again and pick your brain about that situation. It's kind of where we left it, right, Heather?
Yeah, Tom, one question we had was the use of the term unorganized territories.
Right.
Whether that's the correct term to use or not. What's the correct term for roads that are in areas that are not organized townships?
Unorganized territories is the term we commonly use. We refer to them as UTs, and that is the term we use. And yeah, that's appropriate.
Okay, so the draft that I had done up for giving the county like powers as what towns have over townways for abandoning roads.
Yes, it's my understanding. So you have to. I say this because I'm not 100% sure, but it's my understanding that county commissioners have authority to discontinue roads in the unorganized townships. I'm not even sure exactly what the process is. I suppose there is a public hearing segment to that, but there is, because county commissioners have administrative authority and legislative authority. It's kind of a unique type of government, where in state government you have the administration and the legislature separate from the administration. It's another branch. But in county government, the county administrators, the commissioners, and the legislature are the same board. So we have the authority to abandon roads and discontinue roads. In the unorganized townships only, not municipalities, but in the unorganized townships.
If you give me a minute here, I can probably come up with what the statute is that gives them that authority. Take a look.
Bert, I think it's like 2060 or 2061.
Okay, if I go to the county highway law, 2051 is power of commissioners. 2060 is discontinuance for a new state highway. 2061 is discontinuance before damage is paid proceedings. But I think 2051, the power of commissioner is layout, maintenance, and discontinuance of roads in unorganized areas.
Mhm.
And then they have closing roads in unorganized areas for the winter. But this doesn't cover abandonment. Abandonment was covered under, or currently is covered under 3028A, but it's kind of odd because that's talking strictly about abandonment of townways, and the county no longer has jurisdiction over townways. So that's why they kind of need to be separated.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, we have no authority over townways. Unless the town decides to disorganize and become a UT. Then whatever is inventoried, the town of Madrid, for instance, was 25 years ago, was a town, a municipality. It decided, and it was discontinued. So now it is a unorganized territory, even though it's still referred to as Madrid. And you can always tell when people aren't from around here because they say Madrid. So, but it's referred to as Madrid, and that's an unorganized township. And so the county commissioners are responsible for the roads and bridges in the unorganized territory of Madrid.
And of course, my husband keeps saying if a town can't afford to maintain its roads, they should deorganize.
Yeah.
So Roberta, that law you were reading 2051, that was 1997. So it's probably could use some updating.
So, I mean, a lot of this just. A lot of what these subcommittees doing really boils down to Amanda and Roberta updating laws, which isn't in the moment super ideal, but like we just said, we'll let that play out for a couple months and then make a plan.
So maybe the focus right now is on the survey and, having that roll out and be kind of the summer, like the responses come in and to start analyzing that for when we come back in September.
Well, it's certainly a good piece to start with on a lot of these. Tom, have you had a chance to look at the draft that I proposed for giving counties the authority?
Yes, I did. I thought it was pretty good. I was going to share it with our county administrator, and I had it with me, and then I forgot to give it to her the other day. I was going to have it ready for today, but I'm going to try to get it to her and see if she has any thoughts about it.
Is that Amy?
Amy Bernard, yes.
Yeah, Amy. She knows me. We're friends. Yeah. Tell her Amanda said put a sharp eye on it.
Okay.
She knows what's going on with me anyway, too.
Yeah.
We've known each other forever. So
So does this get emailed to the towns through an MMA channel, or does this paper and pen and hope they open it?
So I think you got the link I sent you for the Microsoft Forms. So it would be an email sent through MMA, but because it'd be answering online, all the responses would come to me, so I can see them as they come in. So MMA wouldn't have, all they would have to do is send it out. And then I would be keeping track of the responses, and I'd be able to see the towns as they log in, or whoever it is that's filling out the form, and then keep track of it from there. And then it's a pretty, I think, good survey, but one of the reasons why I sent it out again was because there was some discussion on some of the language and maybe a few tweaks. So
this will be coming from us, but just using MMA's mailing list.
yes, and I think having MMA support will help, because I think MMA has a good relationship with the majority of towns, and I think there's only one town that they don't have on in their group. So I think, hopefully we get a better response. Like, because we don't work directly with the towns, I don't have a relationship with any of the towns.
Correct.
So I think it's better coming from them. And I know we have 7. I have 7 people still. So we have the quorum. So we can vote on, sending out the survey as it is, and having Tanya check with MMA and make sure that meets their standards, and then send that out, because I agree with Amanda Egan. I think it would be good as a summer project. It gives towns where, I don't know if it's quieter for the towns. I don't know if there's any time of year that's quieter really for the towns. But I think people are hopefully more relaxed, and maybe would have a little more time to answer in the summer. At least I hope so. I don't.
yeah, they're not doing their budgets. They're not doing. Sometimes they're doing a June town meeting, but usually land use stuff gets pretty crazy in the summer. But it's never really a quiet time. But there are worse times.
So did everybody on this call get a chance, I guess, to look at the survey link that I sent out and the questions? They are the same questions that we sent out. For those of you who are not new members, they're the same ones that we worked on in 2024 and approved to send out. And then Rebecca Graham, she got done at MMA. So we lost that connection there. And while we were waiting for Tanya to step in, that kind of all got shoved to the side while we were waiting to see what happened with the 2025 report that we put forward to see what was going to pass and what wasn't.
What date did you send that out, Heather?
Oh, jeez.
It was a year plus ago, right?
It was a year plus ago, but I actually think for your group, I sent it out. One second, Pete. I sent it to, I think, all of the subcommittees again. Hold on. Probably wouldn't have been the whole group.
I have one on April 3rd. And I can forward that if needed.
I got to step away for a second, get my battery charger. I'll be right back.
Have we looked at those tweaks that I suggested, and have we approved those and put them into it or not?
So I have not, because the tweaks needed to be discussed. Needs to be discussed in front of I think the entire commission. Like, that needs to have a vote, because you know what I mean? And I don't actually even think, because I think I looked at your tweaks, and I don't really think, other than changing a little bit of the language, I don't think it changed the intent of what we were asking Roberta. But honestly, that was like way back in March, or was that April? I think it was March.
Could we possibly have everybody look at those again and decide if we want to include them in it?
Give me a second and see what I can pull up here.
Yeah, it was April 3rd.
April 3rd.
Yep.
Let's see.
You had the
where-
link to the questionnaire and then Roberta's suggestions for some changes.
Thank you. Helps actually.
Whoops, when you click on the link, it says this form doesn't exist.
Oh, well, it does. Hold on. Just a second. Oh, I think there might have been a problem with that link. I am going to re-forward it to everybody. Hang on.
I just tried to open it again, was unable to do that too.
Continued.
There was a second email later on with the new link.
Because I think someone had emailed me. Okay, so I'm gonna send this. Okay, I'm gonna send this. And there is a link. I think I reposted it because someone had said that the link I had put in did not lead to the link. See if that I just sent works, and I will post it also in the chat. Because for me, it works because I'm the one who created it. So link, drop it in the chat.
Yep, it's working.
Working. Okay, great. So,
Yep.
I'll put it in the chat too for those of you who don't want to. That's the form link for Microsoft Forms that I just posted in the chat. And you can go through and do whatever you want for answers, or it doesn't matter because I can just reset it. So before we send it out. And I'm also happy if you guys want to take some time and think about it, we can do this over email and just get everybody to agree via email, and I can just keep the records that way. Or we can send it out in June when we have our June meeting, if everybody wants to do that, with the language suggestion tweaks that Roberta made. Either way is fine.
Heather, is this a PDF? Because when you click on each one, it just next to each page. Can you actually print this thing out as a PDF with all the questions in it?
You know what? I don't know. I will probably have to go and look and see if there's a way to set it for people to be able to print it out. I know you can print each page. Do you know what I mean? At the top of the page, you know where the three bubbles are. If you click on that, it should come up. It might not. Would you like a PDF? Is that what you're asking for, Peter? Because when we get done here, I can send you a PDF of it.
Yeah, I would, because
Me too.
many times I don't like looking at a screen, and I'll read this during lunch at a table somewhere
Correct.
or in my car.
And I think it would be really helpful when we send the form out as a link to have an attached PDF of all the questions so that towns can go through and do all the work before they actually fill in the form step by step.
Right.
Okay. So why don't I can do that. I think I'll probably use my snippet tool, but I'll see if there's a way within Microsoft Forms. I might be able to just print it within the thing to PDF. And then I will send that out today to the commission.
Okay.
And then you guys can review it. Does that
Yes.
make sense? Because it's going to take me about half an hour probably to figure out how to do that because I haven't done that before. So, the conversion, and then make sure it works, and then everybody can see it. So I can send that. Okay. So I'll send that out. You guys can review it, and then then do you guys want to do email back and forth on like the changes Roberta did, or do you just want to just wait to the June meeting to vote on it, say this looks good, let's send this out to MMA?
I kind of feel like I'd like to wait to June, only to give a little bit of time between now and then to educate people to say, hey, this is coming. And be ready and look for it.
Okay.
Rather than just surprise, here's a survey, feel like filling it out. because I'll encourage my snowmobile and ATV clubs to be in contact with their town people to say, hey, fill this out and fill it out accurately, because it makes a difference on what we do going ahead.
Does anybody else have any thoughts, or does that sound good to everyone?
It works for me. I don't have any problem with that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, unless time was of the essence, I think it's fine for us to make the decision on June 12th.
I don't know, Roberta, can you handle another week of mud?
Certainly pouring out today.
That's my husband. He was out again grading the road for what, 2.25 hours yesterday.
Yeah.
And there's still one pair of ruts that won't come out because somebody had to drive through right at the height of mud season.
Actually, the biggest problem we're having right now is that there's organic material, i.e. leaves on the sides of the roads, and trying to clear that up. And you have to do that 2 or 3 times to get them to dry up enough so they disappear.
Yeah.
Like raking a sponge.
Yeah, right. I was thinking of taking a match to it, but
All right, so I think that was the last items on our agenda. Does anyone have anything else they want to talk about before we go? I did not hear from anyone on public comment, and I feel like we have enough to go away with to work on. How does everybody feel about that? Okay.
I have a question, if you don't mind, Heather. What is the date? What is the time for the June 22nd Zoom meeting?
The June 22nd Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
So I have not set it yet. We just
Okay. Right. I didn't have it.
So
And
the
the June 22nd is at the subcommittee 3.
That's a subcommittee
One.
thing,
That's
yeah.
what I was just going to say. So I think, did we say 1 p.m. or was that 10
We said
a.m.? It was 1 p.m. Okay.
1 p.m.
Sorry, I don't have that note right in front of me. I was going to do that
Okay.
today after this call. And then the meeting for the commission, the next full commission would be June 12th at 8:30.
8:30, correct. Thank you.
And then and then I don't know if some of the subcommittees. So subcommittee 3 has met twice and we have a third meeting scheduled. I don't know if the ATV subcommittee 1 and then subcommittee 4, 5, and 6 want to meet again. And then I don't know how Roberta and Amanda and Tom feel about subcommittee 10. If you guys feel like talking to Tom today, if that eliminated the need to meet again.
Roberta, what do you think?
Sorry, I have so many balls I'm trying to keep up in the air. Sorry, guys.
Tom, if you're okay with
I didn't have any more thoughts about the subcommittee 10. Maybe the other two do, but I don't know.
I guess,
Okay.
yeah, oh, sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
Tom, just, you can let us know if Amy has any thoughts on the language, certainly.
Yes.
And otherwise, I think it falls into that bucket of Roberta and Amanda have a big bucket full of stuff to deal with.
Yep.
Okay, so for
speak for the ATV side and say we're kind of in limbo until we get answers from towns.
So we'll hold on 1, 10, and then I see Peter's here and a few of the commission members for subcommittee for 4, 5, and 6. Do you guys want to meet again before the June meeting, or are we all kind of thinking maybe we need to get the survey first?
I think the survey would be good. And
Okay.
Month of May for me is just right out straight.
Okay. So we'll hold on 1, 4, 5, and 6, and 10 until after the June 12th meeting. And we can decide from there going forward. And then we're going to pause the meetings for July and August. And I'm going to set the third Friday for the rest of the year for September, October, November, December at 8:30 a.m. for the standard commission meetings. Am I missing anything?
Can you send that out in an email?
Yep.
Just so you know what to look
Yeah,
at?
I will. I'm going to put that all together with probably, it'll either go out later today or maybe even tomorrow. But I'll try to get that out to you guys all by Friday. So you have a list of all the meetings and it'll be nice. I can put it up on the website and everything will be nice and put together and organized.
So
It'll be nice.
So for the meeting on the 12th, I think it sounds like between now and then, maybe there's only going to be one subcommittee meeting, and that is our public easement
Uh-huh.
group.
We're
Which
gonna meet after the June 12th meeting.
Uh-huh.
So there'll be no
It's the
subcommittee.
22nd.
Yeah, so no subcommittees will be meeting before June 12th, but everybody will be looking at the survey.
well, one subcommittee's meeting before June 12th, one of mine.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Public easements is after it.
Just kidding, I'm lying. So nothing, so nobody, yeah,
Just a
Yeah.
meeting basically to compile and confirm the
Right.
survey. For the
that, yeah,
12.
that's kind of where I was, okay, right. Okay. That's
It's
what-
very confusing. I know.
Yeah, and I don't know, because May has all kinds of stuff, but I don't, again.
And
you can't-
it's really hard too because I end up sending out the links and then that's why I'll send out the email like I did last time of all the subcommittees when they're meeting, if they're
Right.
not meeting, if it's on hold, when our meetings are for the whole year. I will try to
So-
package that so it makes sense.
Okay, and so, yeah, okay, because regardless of whether or not I'm here on the 12th, I just, yeah, so it sounds like our primary thing to accomplish on the 12th will be to get that survey squared away and out the door, yeah. I just don't want people to show up to that meeting having not looked at it and have nothing actually get accomplished, so we want to get that out this summer.
Yeah, I think our assignment before the next meeting would be to look at the survey, look at the possible tweaks that I suggested, see if you want to approve them or not. And Tom, if you want to look at the proposed legislation about county abandonment and check with your other person there, see what they think of it. And I think that's about it. You know, look over the materials that I've sent, whatever.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, and Heather, if I could ask again, if you could sort of label what each of the numbers is, because I have an awful time keeping track of which these were. I finally printed it.
That's what I have on my desk. I have it printed and that's the only way I'm able to go through and know who's on what committee and how and what time. And so that's why I was like, let's just make one thing standard. So it's one less thing I have to do and get done. So
Subcommittee 1, ATV use, Subcommittee 3, public easements, problems and solutions, Subcommittee 4, 5, and 6, survey, inventory, and repository, and Subcommittee 8 and 12, separate easement discontinuance, easement template, and Subcommittee 10, county abandonment authority.
Yep, that's right. And you came up with a name, so good job.
Roberta, I'm trying to find the county abandonment proposed legislation. And I can't, it's probably here someplace, but would it be for you to resend that to me just so
Yes.
that I have,
I can do that.
thank
Make
you.
notes so I don't
Probably be redundant, but while I have you right here, it's easier to ask now than wish I had.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And you can always email me if I forget something.
Okay, thank you.
So I think we've reached the end of the meeting. Madam Chairperson, would you like to dismiss us?
I invite a motion to, do we formally close out our meetings or we just go home?
We can. I mean, sometimes we do, and then sometimes Jim was just like, I'm closing the meeting now. We're done.
Well, then I thank
So-
you all so much. I invite your warm wishes for my month of May to be wonderful. And I say class dismissed.
We sincerely do wish you the very best, Amanda,
Yep.
and hope it works out.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I think we all
Mm.
second that.
Yeah,
Keep us posted. Keep us posted.
I will. Yeah, I've dialed down the politics on Facebook, so if you want an update, you can friend me on Facebook. But I'm sure I'll be fine with that big surgery, and we'll go from there. So, yay!
God bless.
Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you. All right, my friends, be safe, be well, and we'll see you again soon.
See ya.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Everybody.
Bye.